The creation and celebration of custom levels has always been a massive part of Geometry Dash culture. Whether you are brand new to this game or you have been playing for years, chances are you have dabbled in the Geometry Dash editor a fair bit. Truthfully, though most objects aren't well optimized and some tools are not very well made or bug fixed, the editor itself is very in-depth, and there are hundreds of possibilities of things you can make. Though it can be buggy, creators have poured their souls into levels over the years of this game, and there are definitely some masterpieces that stand out against the rest. Most people in this game have at one point or another aspired to be a creator, but unfortunately, building levels in this game is far from easy. Most people try their hand at it for a good while, but eventually give up, deciding that they don't have the skills to make something truly amazing. This, or people keep trying but they never make truly original, stunning levels. Well, what if I told you could change that for yourself? In this video, I want to take a look at creating from the perspective of creativity itself, and the prospect of coming up with new, original designs in your levels. Many researchers and psychologists have come to the conclusion that creativity is not entirely something you are born with, though some people are by default more creative than others, and that instead it is something that it can be learned and improved upon. Based on this, I decided I would make this video to give you guys a good look on how to improve your Geometry Dash builds and get better at being more creative. This is not a guide to show you what or how to create and to give you specific ideas, as instead it is a researched informational video that aims to help you point you in the right direction to figure out your own creating style by yourself. I have indulged in a few studies on the scientific benefit and behavior of creativity, and I have come up with a list of the benefits you can reap from being more creative and the steps you can take to be more creative, and all of that will be in this video. So, hopefully, with my help, you can find inspiration and become the creator that you've always wanted to be. So, let's get right into it. Now, before we go ahead and talk about the benefits of creativity, I want to take a step back and establish what I mean by creativity in the sense of Geometry Dash building. Now, creativity itself can be described as the generation or recognition of new ideas, concepts, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating and presenting ideas, or entertaining ourselves and others. Of course, creativity can always mean some sort of unique block design or effect, but it can mean many other things too. Look at people like JF and Sputniks who build incredibly original works of art and effect that are like nothing GD has ever seen before. Of course, building something to their caliber is definitely not easy, and I'm not saying that this guide is going to get you to that point, but I'm hoping it will help you guys make cool designs and custom structures and backgrounds that will help communicate the idea that your level is trying to get across. Creativity doesn't always have to be some groundbreaking concept or effect either. I think something like Scrumpy's Ocular Miracle part has some of the most creative little structures and details that I've ever seen, and it's such a gorgeous part because of it. All the little designs are so amazing, and it's a great demonstration of how creativity can reside in less immediate works. Creativity is simply the unique presentation of your ideas, and something can be creative whether it's entirely new or built on old concepts. Presenting your idea is something that will always be unique to you. Now that we're on the same page for what creativity is, we can take a look at the benefits you can reap from being more creative in GD. The first benefit of creativity is an obvious one. When you implement creativity into your builds, you will, by default, make more original and effective concepts that will represent the idea of your level with more effectiveness. This is definitely the most obvious of the things I will be listing here. Creativity is most often associated with unique products, and while that is very true, it is not the only benefit of it. However, it is one of the most coveted and sought after, and achieving it can truly be a surreal experience. It will help your ideas stand apart from the rest, and it will allow you to convey your message through your level in more effective ways, which will result in more people appreciating it and enjoying it. Again, this is the most obvious of the benefits of creativity I will be listing, but it's definitely not the only one. So, let's take a look at the other benefits. For the next benefit, I have stress relief and expansion of time. So, for this part of the vid I will reference an old concept that I covered a while back, which is flow state. I made a whole video in my earlier YouTube career about how flow state can be applied to Geometry Dash when you are actually playing the game. But in that video I also said how it can be applied to every scenario in life, and this includes Geometry Dash creating. If you did not watch that video, here's the rundown. If you have ever heard someone say that they were, so to speak, in the zone, where they are completely laser focused on the task at hand and all their movements and actions come naturally to them, then that is scientifically called being in the flow state. If you want more on this, You can go check out my flow state video or just do some of your own research on it. But that's what I'm going to leave it at for the purposes of this video. Anyway, one of the many benefits of flow is losing awareness of worries, time, and other distractions. When you are building and being creative, time will seem to fly by, and you will find yourself dreading creating. In fact, when you are building something that has creative integrity, you will likely find it fun and satisfying. This will relieve your stress and boost your confidence, and it will allow you to not get hung up on how long you are taking to build, and instead allow you to continue to work in the zone efficiently and get things done. All of that just from the act of being creative. However, there are plenty more benefits, so let's take a look at the next one. The next benefit of creativity is increased problem solving. Creativity doesn't always mean making new concepts up for the sake of having something new to add to your level. It also means being able to adapt to issues and find new, innovative ways around your problems that you encounter while building. When you are more creative, you will find more unique ways to work around the issues that you might face while building your level. And with this, you might even end up with a more unique and integral work after you are done with fixing the problem. This can improve your final product, and overall, it will leave you much more satisfied. Learning how to get around problems and cut corners is one thing, but if you're creative with what you do, you can turn your issues into opportunities for improvement and reconsideration to what you are building. After all, every setback is an open door for growth and renewal, and if you work creatively, you can blossom your complications into something far better. There will always be problems that you encounter when building in GD and creating things in general, and with this approach to fix them, you will never need to lessen the quality of your work for the sake of your level. For the next benefit, I have increased confidence while building. If you are more creative when you are building in GD, it will ramp up your self-confidence for a number of reasons. The most obvious is that you are making self-expressional and original ideas that are unique and interesting, and of course, this lends itself to some self-appreciation that is well deserved. However, there's more to it than just this. If you remember, the last benefit had to do with how when you are creative, you will have increased levels of problem solving. When you have this, you are more confident that you can take on the challenge of building a level and any issues that come with it. Because of this, you'll be able to be more creative because of your confidence, as you won't be afraid of judgment or shortcomings, and this will result in a beneficiary cycle that will only make you more and more successful as time goes on. This is one factor that I am sure a lot of you did not think of, but I hope you can now see why it is so important. The second to last benefit of creativity I will cover in this video is increased personal growth. As you become more creative and work with unique designs and features, you will begin to discover how you operate as a creator and what styles, effects, and designs work best for you. As you discover yourself in this manner, you will grow into your new role as a creator, and once you do this, you can truly start to blossom into an original and self-expressional artist. Understanding yourself and your style takes time, and it's not something I can say that I have even come close to doing. But once you do understand how you operate, you can anticipate problems you might encounter and what solutions you can use to fix them. You will know your restrictions and know where you can push yourself, and this will allow you to push yourself out of those comfort zones that you didn't know you had. This will allow for you to always keep growing as a creator, and it will make it so all the levels you touch will be well done. As once you understand yourself and your style, effectively executing your builds is significantly easier. You will start seeing yourself as the creator that you really are, and once you do this, you can understand what you want to say with your art and what ideas you want to express. Creating in Geometry Dash is, like many art forms, a journey of self-discovery, and once you embrace it and are aware of yourself, your works will truly take off as recognizable and outstanding. The final benefit of creativity I will mention in this video is how creativity and artistic expression is a safe haven for mistakes. When you are being unique, you are allowed to try out new styles, ideas, decorations, and builds to your desire. And with this experimentation in uncharted waters, there are bound to be mistakes in your work. But when you are being creative, it's okay. Mistakes, after all, are something you can learn from, and a truly creative and talented artist will take a look at them and grow from them, following suit to the benefit of personal growth. As you learn more and more about the styles that you want to use, you will perfect them. However, to obtain this eventual mastery, you need to be able to accept that you will make mistakes, which can be done by being creative and willing to experiment and learn. Alongside all the wonderful things you may make, you will have plenty of mishaps. But if you learn from them and work to better yourself and your style, they will only help you in the long run. When you do this, you'll learn the importance between the balance of letting things happen and making things happen. And even though it's a heavy cliche in today's world to say that you should learn from your mistakes, They truly are windows of opportunity that, when jumped on, can turn into something better than the original. As you can see, there are plenty of benefits to creativity, and there's plenty more that I didn't mention in this video. I just picked the ones that I think best related to Geometry Dash and creating in the editor, and listed them here. But, the big question is, how do we initiate these benefits and become more creative? Well, that's what the next section of this video will be about. I will take a look at 6 steps you can take to become more creative in your works in Geometry Dash. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so, like I said, in this section of the video I will list the 6 steps that I've come up with to get more creative in GD. I researched many articles and studies done on this subject, and I found which tips and tricks best apply to Geometry Dash and compiled them together in this section. The first tip that I have is mastering the task at hand, which of course would be knowing your way around the GD editor and knowing how to build. It makes sense that you can only really flourish as a creative mind in GD if you know what you are doing when it comes to creating, as you can only make amazing things when you understand what you are doing already when it comes to building. A quote that I think puts it really well is like this: "Creativity does not equal effort, but effort can result in creativity." In other words, your creativity doesn't come solely from effort, but effort is a big factor that can result in more creativity. I think it can probably be demotivating to know that you have to spend all the time and work to get fluent in the editor and start building to get more creative. But I think a lot of people already understand the editor, and I'm sure a decent amount of you know how to create pretty well if you are watching this video. This tip is more for people who are just starting out and need to understand that they have to get better at building and mastering the editor before they can start to experiment and get creative with their works. If you are one of these people, though, don't throw in the towel and tell yourself that you'll never learn how to build. Instead, look at it like this. Be glad that you are hearing this now so you can start today, instead of starting later and having to wait even longer. Learning how to build is not that hard of a task. You just have to pay attention to what creators do in their levels and designs and replicate them while adding your own twist. Figuring out how to structure and fill your designs takes time, but if you keep working at it and putting in effort, eventually you'll get better over time and become more creative with what you can do, blossoming into a very good creator. The next step you can take to be more creative is to bring yourself physically to new areas and locations. This one might sound a little weird when you first hear it, but hear me out. Taking breaks while building or brainstorming and doing things like going on walks around your street or in your woods or taking car rides is vitally important to your creative energy and efforts. Bringing yourself to new places is refreshing to your brain, and experiencing new sights and sounds will increase your ability to get inspired and be more creative. Stimulating your brain with nature is a common practice that artists of many kinds use to get away from having a creative block, and it works surprisingly well. You may notice how you often never get ideas when trying to actually think of them, and instead, you get them all on the car ride or in the shower or something along those lines. This is because these breaks or changes of pace allow your mind to idly work on ideas, while not being fully forced or expected to. This allows the flourishing of creativity, and even if you already have the idea, it can be essential to take breaks and take these scenery changes, as they will further develop what you already have into a more grounded concept and register itself in your brain so that it can grow to its full potential. If you have been working and building on your idea in GD for a few hours and are starting to run out of steam, taking one of these breaks can refresh your mind also, and when you come back, you might be surprised at how ready and inspired you are to continue working. I guess the main point here is to not jump on ideas right away. Let them establish themselves and grow into a fully developed concept in your head before you just jump the gun and start building. Another type of break you can take to get inspired is to watch something funny or relaxing. Humor and entertainment are weirdly found to have heavy association with the amount of creativity a person is feeling, and this is why taking YouTube breaks or things along these lines can help you get more inspired. All in all, breaks are vital to getting more creative, and whether they are physical or mental, they will always do good when it comes to brainstorming and developing your ideas. This next step is kind of a weird one, but it's one that I think is extremely helpful and important, and I know it's something that I and a few other creators already do. Planning out your designs and having ideas of what you are going to make before you even open the editor is a pretty self-explanatory concept, and I think most people already understand that you want to have an idea of what you are going to make before you make it. However, it's oftentimes not easy to just have an idea in your head and be able to translate that into a work in GD. To combat this, something I have done for a long time is to jot down plans or concept works for your ideas on paper. Now, this might sound a bit far-fetched, but hear me out. I'm just an artist in general, so it's definitely easier for me than someone who can't draw as well, but I still think drawing out your ideas beforehand is very helpful. And even if it is simple or not very good, it gives you something to ground your work off of, and it won't leave you stranded in the editor with no idea what you are doing. I don't know if this one will be as helpful for you guys as it is for me and a few other people I know, since a lot of you aren't artists, even though I'm sure a decent portion of you are. But I really think giving it a shot and seeing where it takes you could be worth your time. This one is probably not the most necessary compared to the others on this list, but I thought I would mention it anyways, as it helps me a ton and I think if done right, it can help you guys too. The next tip that I have that can help you be more creative is to look for inspiring role models or people to look up to when it comes to what they build. Inspiration in Geometry Dash is by no means a sin, and it can really get creators off the ground and allow for them to flourish into their own style. Inspiration only really becomes a problem when creators refuse to explore their own ideas, even after they have been creating for years and continue to rip concepts from others. When taking inspiration, study carefully what the creator does in their process and learn how they execute their ideas. It's even better if you can talk to them or forge some sort of relationship, as then you can get an inside view about how they execute their ideas, which can give you a good starting point for building yourself. This also means that you can get direct feedback from them on what you make, and if you happen to look up to this person, getting feedback from them and wanting to impress them should motivate you to continue working and improve. Something that I personally think creators shouldn't do is just go advertise to any random person and ask for their feedback, as they will most likely not give their full opinion and not understand what you are really going for. And they will either just disregard it as bad and not give constructive criticism, or they will just say it's good and get you locked in a cycle of conformity that doesn't allow for you to improve. I'm not saying asking for feedback isn't important, as it definitely is. But what I am saying is that finding people who you look up to and ask opinions on should be more thought out than a lot of people think about it now. Make sure when you get feedback, you find the right people whose opinions you value and you know who give honest criticism, while giving you a good idea on what you need to improve and what you're doing well. If you do this, you will effectively improve your work not only from the fact that you will know better what you are doing right and wrong, but also from the fact that you can know what you've done well. My next step is one that some of you might have seen coming. If you have stuck around my channel for a while now, you will likely know that not conforming to accepted styles and standards is something that I support, and I also think that is a big factor that plays into being more creative and unique. It's pretty self-explanatory how not conforming to the overall accepted glow or whatever style that the community accepts nowadays keeps your levels fresh and unique, but I don't think people appreciate it enough and take into consideration in fact. Way too many times you see people think, oh, I could do something unique, but everyone likes cool glow designs, so there's no reason not to make them. And while that is true, that your designs can be very cool with standard glow deco, they won't be as unique or as creative as someone who does their own thing and finds their own style. You should be willing to push limits and take risks, and while not all of these experimental or boundary-breaking works will be well received or even good, they are good learning tools that you can develop your style from and improve yourself upon. You won't improve if you just remake the standard glow design over and over, but if you keep working on making your own style and own creative creations, you will, over time, develop yourself and turn into a unique and amazing creator. This is the only way to do this, and unfortunately it means you will have to pay your dues, but in the end, when you blossom from a caterpillar to a butterfly, it's worth it. The final tip is a bit of an obscure one, and I think it is one that a lot of creators already do, but I wanted to mention it anyways based on the research that I found surrounding it. Listening to music and working is something that a lot of people do anyways, and I know for a fact that a bunch of creators do this already, but I don't think people mindfully pick what they listen to scientifically to determine how productive they are. It has been shown that more lyrical music tends to be more distracting when you are trying to work, and the same goes for music that has sudden changes of pace or tempo shifts. As a result, these also unfortunately often take away from creativity. If you want to be more productive and streamlined while building, all the while getting your creative juices flowing, ambient, steady, and engaging music is the way to go. By this, I mean stuff all the way from fast-paced video game music to slow and chill 1-hour lo-fi hip-hop mixes. As long as they're steady and are either ambient or engaging, they will likely work for your purposes. Luckily for us, because of the type of music that GD is used to, most of us already have fast-paced video game songs as our preferred type of music, which likely means that we can listen to our favorites and be productive and creative at the same time. As a result of this, I'm sure a lot of creators already have been doing this, but I still thought it would be an important thing to mention, as if you are mindful of this musical phenomenon and how it affects you, you can control it and use it to your advantage. I really do highly recommend this tip if you don't do it already, as just listening to music in general makes for a more fun and enjoyable experience while building. Creating can be boring without it. I hope you guys get this one and use it to your advantage, because I think it is very important and it's something that a lot of people don't think enough about, when if they were, they could easily be ramping up the productivity if they were aware of how it affects them. Again, this is an obscure one, but I highly recommend giving it a shot, as I think it will prove to be extremely useful for the purposes of this video. Well, that's all the tips and suggestions I have for you guys to be more creative when building in GD. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I am some creative god when it comes to what I build in GD, because I am definitely not. But using these tips that I've researched, I've managed to get better than I used to be. So I thought I would share them with you guys and, hopefully, you can get something out of them and improve your Geometry Dash builds. I know this video isn't going to be for everyone, as there's most likely not that many creators that watch my videos. But for those of you who can take this to heart, I really hope it helps you out and allows you to improve your works. I really tried to not only take actual scientific research into account for my tips for this video, but to also mix those ideas in with my own personal experiences while building. So hopefully this combination of real research and actual experience can provide for some helpful tips for you guys. If this video does help you out, I would appreciate a comment telling me, because I want to know if this type of video actually works in helping people or not. Again, I know this video definitely was not for everyone, and I'm sorry that it probably was insignificant for a lot of people. But I hope even if you don't use the tips I gave you because you don't create, that this was an interesting video on a subject that you now know a little bit more about. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this video. If you enjoyed it, you could always consider dropping a sub, but there's no pressure. Thank you all so much for watching this far. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.